Hey you guys, this is Tom from Tom's Interesting Talk, and today we're going to talk about the pork butt. I'm going to show you some easy ways to take this large piece of meat and break it down and make multiple meals out of it. And what we're going to do today is we're going to slice off the boneless side of this pork roast or pork butt and make boneless pork steaks. And then on the other side with the bone in it, we're just going to basically use that for the crock pot, trim a little fat off of it, and use that for a pulled pork. But I want to show you how to get into this thing because I know these bigger pieces of meat can be intimidating, and a lot of people just toss these in the smoker or, throw them in the crock pot or throw them in the oven and just kind of cook them down and just make shredded pork out of them. But there's a beautiful pork steak on this piece of meat that is wonderful on the grill, and you guys will see in just a moment. All right, let's get into this. Again, I'm not going to be using a cutting glove today. We're going to use a Chicago cutlery knife today. This is an 8-inch blade. It's a little bigger blade than I've been showing and utilizing because the pork butt's a little bigger piece of meat, and I'll need just a bit more blade to hopefully produce this thing correctly. All right, let's get into this. When you're opening up the pork butt, because they're cryovac like this, a lot of the times you'll have what's called a pork smell, or you'll have just a tiny bit of cryovac smell, where the pork will just have just a tad bit of odor. But once you open it up, take it out of its own blood and let it sit out for just a moment and let it air out, so to speak, most of the time this meat will be just fine. So let's go ahead and pop this thing open and get it out of the bag. And there we go, our pork butt. So what you want to be looking for, here's your blade bone, here's the side knuckle bone on this thing. And what we're going to be pulling off today is that piece of meat right there. And I'm not going to dig, a lot of the times there's like a seam right here and you can actually seam this thing out and go down and around the bone. I'm not going to do that today because I want to leave a little more pork on this bone so that we can make our shredded pork out of this thing. All right, let's get at this thing. So if you look right here, you can see the blade bone right there, and that's where it ends. And honestly, that's kind of some cartilage right there that you can actually get your knife through just by adding a little extra pressure, and then we can pull that out after the fact. But what I want to do is I want to pull this piece off right here, just like that. And then you see that right there, there's your bone. What you could do is we could take this bone out all the way and make this a boneless pork roast or a pork shoulder if you'd like. But in this instance, this is going to go in the crock pot and we're going to make shredded pork out of this. So I'm going to just put this off to the side. Now we have this beautiful little piece of meat right here. You see there's a little bit of fat in the bottom. You can take that off if you want. Of course, you know that I personally like to leave the fat on. There's a little bit of that cartilage bone that we left. So we'll just cut a little bit of that out and just face this off a little bit. And then see, look at that right there. Oh my Lord, these are going to make beautiful little pork steaks. We're going to make these about 1 inch, maybe 1.25 inches. You can make them thinner if you want to do breakfast steaks with them, which this piece of meat makes beautiful breakfast steaks. Beautiful pork breakfast steaks. Has all the fat and tastiness that, say, pork belly would have, in my opinion. So let's just get into this. 1-inch steaks. Just a little bit of waste, and there we go. Yeah. These are gorgeous little steaks. This is what I'm going to make. I'm going to do these tonight in a honey teriyaki glaze. We're going to start with a base teriyaki that I like, that I trust. And I'm going to add honey. I'm going to add my pink Himalayan salt to it. I'm going to add some pepper, garlic, and onion to it just to kind of give it a little more flavor. And we'll be ready to go. So there you go. You see these beautiful little steaks? Just on the grill, these are going to be amazing. They're going to eat every bit as good as a little ribeye, pork steak, any kind of you know, grilling steak that you could think of, this little piece of pork is going to eat just perfect. And then you got that nice chunky piece of meat there, which makes a beautiful pulled pork from. You know, you're going to leave the bone on it so that you get all that nice bone flavor. And then after it's all said and done in the crock pot, that bone is basically just going to pull right out of there because this thing is just going to absolutely fall apart after 6 to 8 hours in the crock pot. So there you go. Beautiful little boneless pork steaks that can go on the grill or be made for a breakfast steak. You guys, I hope you enjoyed this little segment of how to break down the pork butt. I have another pork butt in the fridge that tomorrow I'm going to break down. I'm going to show you how to make country style ribs out of it. And bone the whole thing out. Actually take this blade bone out of the pork. We'll make boneless country style ribs out of the whole thing. All right, you guys. Thanks. I appreciate you spending a little bit of time with me. Again, this is Tom from Tom's Interesting Talk. Please like and subscribe. That's what makes it all go around. Thank you. Peace.